All right, Ian, on the CU podcast, we love celebrating anniversaries of game consoles and retro games. Fives and zeros, that's our mark. We don't do 71, we don't do 47, we don't do 12, but we do the 10th anniversary, and we just passed the 10th anniversary of the release of the Nintendo 3DS handheld, and we just passed last week the 20th anniversary of the GBA.
Yeah, thank goodness for these zeros and fives coming up appropriately when we need them, so that we have topics to discuss.
Why do you stop pulling the curtain back, Ian?
The curtain's back. It's 7 years in. On this day, 10 years ago, the Nintendo 3DS was released in North America. That was March 27th, so it was Sunday. The 3DS is probably, it's tough, one of my favorite portable systems. Definitely, I think, one of the best ones Nintendo put out. I know not everyone agrees with that, but I really enjoyed it. What I liked about the 3DS was that...
What I like about 3DS...
I feel like a lot of Nintendo's games that were released on the 3DS were... they felt refined. They had a whole generation with the original DS to kind of test the waters when it came to dual screen games and how to get them to, play the best.
Sure.
So I feel like, after 10, it's not 10 years, but after that lead up period, we were definitely getting better games that knew how to do more with the touch screens. The 3DS also introduced a lot of social features that I liked that the DS was missing, and that was fun. It was one of the first Nintendo consoles to have like the you could see what friends were online and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a fully Wi-Fi enabled handheld.
Yes.
That's important, yeah.
Yes, fully Wi-Fi enabled. You could play online. You could play with other people. Robust eShops. But my favorite thing about the 3DS was the Street Pass function, which I mourn the loss of in the Switch all the time. Street Pass was a lot of fun with 3DS. Basically, you could take your 3DS and at any time you could sleep it, close it back up, and put it in your pocket. Anytime you passed someone who also had a Nintendo 3DS in their pocket that was closed up, you would exchange data in the form of your Mii character, a little saying. It would show you in your costume, and
where you were from.
And they did a lot of neat stuff with that. You could obviously in the Mii Friends Plaza, which was where you could look at all the different people you've met. You could see the quote that they attached to their character. But Nintendo did a really cool thing, and they used all these people that you collected to play a series of mini games. There was a flower shop one. There was a lot of them. I didn't even play, I think, the third set. There was a fishing one. There was RPG.
The adventure RPG, the default one.
Adventure RPG, exploring a haunted house. There was all sorts of cool mini games, and basically you needed these stock of characters to do things in the game or to act as party members. And it was a really fun, really unique idea that I thought for sure
Find Me, that was the name of it. Find Me.
That's one of them, yeah.
Yeah, that was the one that came with it originally.
But I think I thought for certain Nintendo was never ever going to let that idea go, because everyone loved it. And
people go to conventions and be on their 3DS or checking, who did you Street Pass with? It was a thing. It was a phenomenon, like a little phenomenon.
By adding this in, I think sometimes people think about playing games on a port. Like, it's big in Japan, but I think sometimes here people think about getting, at a convention, playing games on portables, getting 4 people together to network a game like Mario Kart or something might be too much hassle or more hassle than it's worth. But if you got these simple games installed on the system that you can play at any time just by passing people, you ensure that people are taking these systems to conventions. Therefore, stuff like Smash on the 3DS, Mario Kart on the 3DS, people did actually gather and play these because they were already keeping their systems on and out and around to collect these Street Passes. It really, I think, it's hard. I'm having a tough time finding the exact words, but it really...
It's communal?
Yes, it really increased the communal aspect of the 3DS, and I liked that, and they had something going. There was all sorts of 3DS meetups, not even just at conventions, but they would do them at GameStops and at, sandwich shops and things like that. And it's gone now. They took it off the Switch. I mean, the Switch isn't as portable as the 3DS, but they just completely eliminated it. And I struggle all the time to figure out why they got rid of it. I have no idea. It was such a unique and cool idea.
Yeah. It was a moment in time. We're talking about the time before smartphones blew up. Smartphones were still new. They weren't all super affordable yet. I'd say it wasn't until like 2013, a couple years later, where more and more people getting smartphones. 12, definitely 13. So it was a weird moment in time that maybe you couldn't replicate because smartphones weren't a thing. This is like social media still is in its infancy, and people are still locked to phones that don't have this stuff yet. So this is like the bridge, maybe, and maybe that's why. And again, this is in a time where Nintendo had never done an app. 10 years ago, Nintendo we're never going to do an app. They weren't going to do an app until even like 5-6 years ago. We're not doing an app. Then for the past few years, we're doing apps finally. So it's a weird time. But no, going back to the communal nature. I mean, Nintendo having their spot at Comic-Con over here every year, they always had like the little meetup area, and things like that. When I go to conventions, I brought my 3DS, and I wanted to see who I did the Street Pass with, and I was excited. I think I finally got, after doing, we're talking dozens of conventions, I think I got everyone from every state.
Nice, yeah.
I was like, that's really cool.
That is fun to, fun to do. I think I got everyone from every state as well.
It's like a weird feeling, like, wow, we're all connected in a weird way. And it's just people having them in their bags. I would have mine like in my bag, unopened, and just see who you connect with. And the battery life was good on those, if I remember.
Oh, no. That's one thing I would definitely say. The battery life was not good on the 3DS. No.
Having it closed?
None of them, especially closed. No, it just drains like crazy.
I don't remember having to charge it during the day at a convention.
I mean, you could probably get through a day. I'm just saying, compared to other battery lives, the 3DS battery life was not good.
Oh, okay.
And it drained far more energy than it probably should have in sleep mode.
Okay. I don't remember having a problem at conventions.
No, I mean, it was workable. Obviously, it was workable. Otherwise, people wouldn't do it. I'm just saying, don't...
1300 mAh battery. I don't know how long that is. But okay. That aside, I had fun with it at conventions. But yes, I mainly used it for Me Pass and for the Find Me games and for like the puzzle pieces you unlocked and things like that.
Interestingly, the 3DS saw a number of ports on it, just like the Game Boy Advance did. When we talked about the Game Boy Advance's anniversary, we talked about how, it got the ports of the different Mario games and Zelda and stuff like that. Same thing happened with the 3DS. You got great ports of Ocarina of Time. You got really good ports of Majora's Mask. And you got new entries in those series as well. You didn't get a new Mario on the Game Boy Advance, but you did on the 3DS. You got Super Mario 3D Land, which was kind of like the predecessor to Super Mario 3D World. I love those games. I love the way they look. It's hard for me to describe them, but they are 3D Mario games that play like 2D Mario games. I love the level design in those games. Zelda Link Between Worlds, I never played it. Vani did. She loved it, 100%ed it. Supposed to be a fantastic game. And I did kind of like... The 3DS was nice. One of the nice things about having the two different systems, a handheld version and a handheld system and a console, was Nintendo definitely felt like they were willing to experiment with older styles a little bit more. Okay. I don't know that we'll necessarily get as much of that. I mean, you got a remake of Link's Awakening, but Link Between Worlds plays like an old school Zelda game. It's interesting. I don't think you would have gotten something like that on the Switch.
So the biggest seller with almost 19 million was Mario Kart 7, which is an excellent game. Mario Kart 7 was fun. I had fun playing that. Mario Kart 7. Let's see. You got Pokemon in 2, 3, and 4th place. What a shock. New Super Mario Bros. 2 is 5th. Animal Crossing, New Leaf is 6th. Uh-oh.
Probably my favorite version of Wild World, but I also like New Leaf.
So Super Mario 3D Land is 7th. Super Smash Brothers for Nintendo 3DS is 8. Another Pokemon is 9. Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon. A game called Yokai Watch 2 is 10th. Role-playing game. Tamagotchi Life is 11. Luigi's Mansion. So mostly first party. Good old Nintendogs and Cats is 14. Where's the Switch Nintendogs and Cats? Give me the Switch. Give me the Switch Cats. And then Monster Hunter is 15th and 16th. So definitely a different style, of console in terms of the games. It's obviously Pokemon and Nintendo first party heavy, but there's other ones that sneak into here as well when you look at it, but not a lot of third party stuff on here that you consider like fully third party. It's mostly Nintendo published stuff. There's some Capcom starting here with Monster Hunter, but yeah, it's Nintendo handheld.
Capcom, Atlas, and Nintendo, I think, were probably the biggest publishers on that system.
Yeah.
One thing I would say, I feel like you can't talk about the 3DS without mentioning how many iterations of that hardware we got. We got the 3DS, we got the 2DS, you got the
3DS XL.
The 3DS XL. Then you got the new 3DS XL.
And the new 3DS.
The new 3DS.
It's 5.
And you got the new 2DS XL.
There's a 2DS XL?
There's a new 2DS XL.
So there's a giant tablet one?
No, it folds. It just it looks it's a clamshell. It just gets rid of.
So
the
there's
3D
6
screen.
of them.
There's 6 different.
Holy shit! And we got the order wrong probably, but there's 6 of them.
Yeah, there's 6 different variations of this that you can buy. Not to mention
I don't know which
all
one
the
I have.
different colors in all the different special editions.
Do I have 3DS XL or 3DS? I forget which one I have.
I think you have a 3DS because you have that purple one, right?
I sold the purple one. I had the blue one. I had a purple one and I sold it. It was an extra one. The purple one was like the uncommon color, I think.
So, anyways, yeah, a lot of different,
that's nuts.
A lot of different additions to this hardware. It was one of the things that kind of annoyed me about it. I was annoyed at first when it released and it did not have a second analog stick. I felt like that was a real missed opportunity. And as a person who plays actually, well, a lot of Monster Hunter, that was what sold me on the new 3DS, was the second analog stick that you could use to control camera. Nintendo weirdly... that second analog stick should have been on there from day one, and I think you would have seen a lot of interesting games if it was always on the system as opposed to potentially an add-on.
So this was weird. So I don't fault them here though, at least for on the new one. So according to this, the new 3DS XL came out before the regular new 3DS. So you got the bigger one. They didn't try to slow walk you. You didn't get the new 3DS before the XL.
In Japan, they were released at the same time. In the US, the XL was released. The new 3DS XL was the only one that was available regularly at retail. There was 3 or 4 versions of the new 3DS, but those were all released as special editions here.
So at least they did that. They didn't slow walk you and said, okay, well, we'll come out. Wait. I mean, that's a positive. They didn't try to get you to buy it 4 times.
No, I mean, I guess, and I think people knew about it, but it was also a pain because the new 3DS is really, in my opinion, the perfect size. It's in between the XL and the standard. It's a really good size, and they made that very difficult to get.
Yeah, I don't think the XL was necessary. I don't think when I played the 3DS, I had an issue with it. Besides it not having the analog, the second analog.
Over time, I realized that I definitely I specifically waited for the new 3DS regular size to get released here to pick one up because I realized I did not like the XL.
It's just too big.
It's too big. Yeah, holding a clamshell thing like that with a hinge is too big.
Yeah,
like trying to lean back and like it feels.
Yeah,
weird.
I never had an issue with the original DS. The original DS was perfect to me, the size of it. I had an issue with that. So anyway, well that's interesting. And then plus, most importantly, or one of the things about the 3DS. Is that the 3DS helped Nintendo get through a really rough patch in its history.
Yes, Nintendo's handhelds are always saving it during rough patches, and the Wii U was just about the roughest patch Nintendo ever had with a home console.
Of course, we always talk about the naysayers, the Nintendo doomsayers around, we'll just say 5, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, like, oh, Nintendo is doomed. Look what's happening with the Wii U. It's like, do you know how many handheld units they're pushing out? Nintendo, like they're fine. They're still in the black here. So they sold. Okay, how many do they sell here? How many do they sell? Hopefully it doesn't break it up. Hopefully it's just one number of sold here. All models combined as of September 2020, just under 76 million. 76 million handhelds, and that's like a 9-year span. That's nuts. That's nuts.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And now the Switch has replaced it. Because they're going to blow past now, 76 and go, if they haven't already, I forget, and go up to and hit the Wii numbers potentially. 76 million. So yeah, they lost money on the Wii U likely. They probably lost money or didn't make much of a profit. Yeah, that was a failure. Selling only 11 million or so. But 76 million handhelds and iterative versions that cost you less R&D along the way.
Yeah.
It's, just throw a bigger screen on it, Ian. Hey, Ian, put another thumb pad on there. And there you go. That's our new system. People will rebuy it. And they did. By tens of millions. It's nuts. 6 different versions? That's insane. That's the record. I think they'll get broken.
Yeah.
You're not counting the regular DS because that's a different platform. The DS only had two. It had DS and...
No, it had DS, DS Lite, DSi, and DSi XL.
Yeah, I always forget about the DSi thing.
No, Nintendo loves to iterate their handhelds.
The DSi sort of was like, fading out by that point. But anyway. Oh, happy birthday. Happy 10th. Let's see, for a 10th, what should we go bowling alley birthday party for 10 years?
Yeah, that's a bowling.
Is that too
alley
old for
birthday.
Chuck E. Cheese? You can still go to Chuck E. Cheese.
It's definitely still Chuck E. Cheese age.
All right, we'll take it to Chuck E. Cheese. Are they still around anymore?
In some way, shape, or form.